Okay, guys, welcome back to the Let's Get Freaky podcast. Very excited. We've got Paranormal Paul on the show today. Brother, how are you, man? Thank you so
I'm
much for
doing
being here.
I'm doing fantastic, Tommy. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm good, man. I'm excited to talk to you. I've recently started listening to your show, Paranormal Among Us,
Thank you.
and it is awesome, man. It's really
Thank
cool.
you.
You've, you've,
Appreciate that.
you've got a new fan over here, brother.
Well, thank you. I
That is for sure.
appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Whereabouts in the US are you based?
I am in St. Louis, Missouri, right smack dab in the middle of the country.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
CST,
Yeah.
Central Standard Time.
Central time. Yep. Yep, exactly.
That's how I know Eastern, Central. Yeah. Mm. But
Yep.
I'm excited to have you on, man. You get into all the topics that we love at Let's Get Freaky. Bigfoot,
hmm
Dogman, ghosts, all cryptids. And I would just love to go to the start of your journey with the paranormal. How did Paranormal Paul become Paranormal Paul?
Well, a lot of people start these shows and stuff because they have had an experience or they needed some release from some traumatic experience, and that is completely the opposite of me. I was recovering from knee replacement surgery back in 23, and I had been doing podcasting a lot for years before this and stuff. And I'm laying there, and every one that I've done has kind of failed. So I'm like, you know what? I really love doing this stuff. I really love being on camera. I love talking to people and interviewing people and learning about things. So, I'm laying there and I'm wanting to do another show, and somehow, and I don't even know how I got this book, but it was a book I probably downloaded it from the library. Anyway, um, I got this book on Mothman from an author named T. Krulos. And I must have downloaded it from the library on an app from the library, and because I was trying to read a lot instead of sitting in front of the TV all the time. So I'm reading it and I get to the back page and I see his contact information. And at the time that was so out of my comfort zone. I'm like, should I reach out to this guy? Because I've always been watching the ghost adventures and stuff on TV and everything, and I always thought it was kind of cool. So I'm like, okay, yeah, what the hell? I'll email this guy and see what happens. So I told him that, his book was fantastic. Was kind of thinking about doing a paranormal podcast. And he replies back, thanks and everything, but why are you thinking about it? Just do it. I'm like, okay. I mean, that makes perfect sense. So a month or so later, I started the show, and it's been such a fun ride, meeting so many people. And up until about a year and a half ago, I hadn't gone investigating in haunted locations or in the woods or anything like that. And I was just interviewing people and, learning all kinds of cool stuff, meeting all kinds of great people. And then I don't remember, it must have been December of 23 or somewhere around in there. I met Krista and Brandy from Blondes and Booze podcast. And that pretty much changed everything for me. Krista came up with the nickname Paranormal Paul, and it stuck. Um, and they've introduced me to so many awesome people, and through them I've met other awesome people, and now I'm meeting you, and it's been a fantastic ride, and I've gotten to do a lot of investigations. I'm going into the woods now, and it's fascinating, and I never thought that I would be able to. I'm not going to say this is a successful podcast, but I mean, it's
It
lasted
is, man.
3 years now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm just having an absolute blast doing it,
Hmm.
and which is really odd because this past January, I don't know if I was just crazy busy with work and trying to have shows while I'm working so many hours, and I work at a meat and catering company. So Thanksgiving and Christmas are really busy for us. And I was really burnt out in January. I almost just completely quit everything. And, something just hit me like, you know what? Just keep going. It's you're going to get into a slow time. Just keep going.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm so glad I did. I did. And I'm having a blast doing this. And I'm not going to stop anytime soon. I'm
I'm
just
glad
having
to
a,
hear that, man. I'm
yeah.
glad to hear that. That's it. You do go through times, ups and downs, where you're like, oh,
Yeah.
what am I doing?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
most of you love it, and that comes through as well.
Oh, yeah,
So,
definitely.
so
And really,
keep going.
the thought of me stopping it was just maybe for a week or so.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I kind of did a little, almost did a rebranding type thing, and everything, but a refresh. And it's pedal to the metal now.
Hmm.
I'm all in on this.
Yeah,
So
man. You
yeah,
can't stop now. That's it.
no,
Once you go,
no, no,
you got your listeners. You got to keep going, brother.
exactly, exactly. And that's another thing, all these people in chat, I've met several of them in chat and everything. And, on the screen, there are names that scroll up and down the screen.
Hmm.
But, when you get a chance to meet some of them and put a face with them and be able to shake their hands or give them a hug or whatever,
Hmm.
and even meet the people that we talk to on the screen, that's just, it makes things, I don't know, so much better,
Hmm. Absolutely.
yeah,
You make
it's
you make
just
like your own community in a way.
exactly,
It's like your own
exactly.
community, and these people become like your close friends.
Yeah, exactly.
The
And
podcast world is great for that. It really
yeah,
is.
yeah. And there's a lot of backstabbing and name calling and this stuff too. But
Hmm.
I don't want any part of that. I keep my opinions to myself. I will never do that on camera to anybody. I always listen with an open mind on things. And stuff. And we're here to listen and we're here to learn, and we're all wanting the exact same thing, to find out the truth. What's the spiritual world, what Bigfoot, Dogman, UFOs, all that stuff is, and
Hmm.
what's the point of name calling and stuff? We're all in
Oh
this
yeah,
together.
absolutely, man. You do get that.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, that's humans. In every
exactly.
in every walk of life, people are very
Yeah.
tribal, and I've never understood that myself as well, especially like in the paranormal world that we're in.
Hmm.
Is we, as you said, we all just want the answers. We're all just fascinated by these topics,
Hmm.
and yeah, we've all got different opinions and different ideas. And I think that's what
Yeah.
kind of makes it quite exciting as well. If we all had the same opinion, same idea, it's going to be kind of boring. So it's quite cool to
Yeah.
have different opinions. And let's face it, not many people have the answers, if anyone has the answers to a lot of this stuff. We're all just trying to
And
learn.
exactly. And really, the only time we're gonna ever learn the 100% God's honest truth on anything is when we die. We'll
Hmm.
hopefully we'll have the answers then. But if you believe in that stuff too, I mean, if that's really the only time, I think.
Hmm. Hmm.
But until then, enjoy it.
Hopefully we'll get the answers. Hopefully we'll get the answers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
paranormal, what in particular kind of got you interested in that subject? Did you have experience as a kid, or was there
You
experiences?
know, I really didn't, at least that I know of. I can remember one instance. I think I was just that's my dog barking.
That's cool, man.
Just divorced, and I was living in my house, which was actually the house that my mom grew up in. So it was her childhood house. My grandparents lived in it, and I moved in there with my ex-wife, and then she moved out and everything. Anyway, long story short, um, the only thing that I remember, and I can't 100% say that this actually happened, but the bedroom, it was a good sized bedroom. And then you go out, turn right, and right outside the bedroom door is the basement door. And the basement door kind of opens into the door to the basement opens and it kind of blocks the bedroom door. So you have that kind of dynamic there. One night, I had two cats at the time. And one night I could have swore I heard something walking up the steps and the door opened. And I'm getting chills now. And the cats kind of even looked that direction. Um, and I think I remember sitting up and just kind of being frozen in fear. I never saw anything. I never felt anything. I just sat up and was waiting for something to happen. If it was real, if someone was in the house gonna get me or whatever, but nothing happened. And I I'm pretty sure I just fell back to sleep. But it felt so real. It could have been actually happening, but I don't know. And I really wasn't into the paranormal at that time, so I didn't really do any investigations into it or look into it any further.
Hmm.
And we're no longer in that house anymore, so I can't say for sure if it was paranormal activity or just a dream.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. But the thing is, when we have a paranormal experience on our own, it's
Hmm.
hard. It is hard to know because you can't rule out 100% that you're not kind of, having a dream,
Right.
as you said, manifesting, who
Right.
knows? But the fact that your cat saw it as well, I mean, I know you can't say to your cats the next day, did you
Right.
see anything, guys?
If only they could talk, that
If
would be
only
so
they
much
could
easier.
talk, because dogs and cats, they definitely see stuff, man.
Hmm.
Like all the time. They seem to. They'll
Oh
stop and
yeah.
look at something that's not there, follow it, you know, bark at
Oh
something that's
yeah.
not there, and they're like, what's going on, man?
Hmm.
But so that was your first taste of the
That
paranormal?
was that was my first taste many, many years ago, probably we're married 22 years now, probably over 30 years ago, somewhere in there. And then from there, I watched all the ghost shows on TV. Really didn't get into the YouTube thing for a while after that, but I was really interested in that stuff, and I wanted to get into the investigations and stuff, but never really had the time to get into haunted houses or anything.
Hmm.
Um, and then when we got married and we were living in this house that we're in now, my wife had an experience actually right outside this door here. I was working overnight and we had the same two cats that I had in the other house, or it was just one cat. I don't know, a cat at least. And pet owners, especially cat owners, anytime you hear your dog or your cat starting to puke, you know that sound. And if you're in a dead sleep, you are awake and you're ready to go clean it up. So So this is a two-story house. There's a hallway up here, right outside this door, and then there's stairs not too far from here that go down. Um, so the cat was outside this door, puking or whatever, and she had her back to the steps, which was just outside the door, and she was cleaning it up. As she was standing up, she turned around and was going to go to the bathroom or in our bedroom or whatever to throw it away. And she sees this gray figure walk up the steps on a landing and then come up the last flight towards her. And then as it got close to the top of the steps, it just dissipated. And she described it to me as an Amish guy, black top hat, long coat, no, you couldn't see a face or anything. So, for the longest time, and again, at this point, I had not really been into the paranormal too much, except just to hear ghosts. So okay, that's the Amish guy. Anything that happened in the house, we couldn't find something. Oh, the Amish guy hit it. I did a little research on the area, on the land, and nothing really came up that the Amish were here at all. So fast forward to I guess late 23 or whatever, I'm interviewing this guy, and he was telling me the story of the Hat Man in the corner of his room and woke him up, and it was hovering over his bed. And he was describing how it looked to him. And I really wish that I would have seen my face on this. You could actually, I'm sure you can go back and look at it. I had to have been like just completely stoned, but completely frozen in fear.
Hmm.
Um, because after the show, I kind of told him her experience. After the show, I explained it to my wife. He even showed me the picture of what he saw, the Hat Man. I downloaded the picture and I showed it to my wife and I said, "This is what this guy saw." Described it. Is this what you saw? And her eyes, I mean, she just went white as can be. And she's like, yeah, that was exactly what was in our house.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. And then of course I'm thinking, well, damn it, I didn't get to see it. But I mean, we had the Hat Man in here and luckily she didn't see a face, she didn't see the red eyes, nothing happened at all. Nobody died around the time we saw it. So or she saw it. So I mean, there's that. So, but I
Wow,
mean,
man.
that was her big discovery, I guess.
Whoa. Because I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know about you, but before I started doing the podcast and, really, I've always been fascinated with the paranormal. But before I started looking into this stuff a little bit more deeply, I didn't know a lot about the Hat Man. It
Hmm.
wasn't,
Yeah.
when I was younger, the Hat Man wasn't really, in our minds. I don't know how long the Hat Man's been
Same.
around for. But
Yeah.
the more you do these shows and talk to people, the more
Hmm.
that the Hat Man comes up so often,
Hmm.
like scarily often.
Oh yeah. And it like you said, the more you talk about these things, the more you stop thinking, okay, the weird sound in the house, was it the boards creaking? Was it a spirit in here trying to get our attention? What was it? Yeah, that all this stuff makes you think, go back and think, well, maybe it
Yeah.
was, maybe some of these experiences, maybe
Hmm.
that thing that came up the steps that day, maybe that was something. I mean, even if it was in my dream, maybe something was trying to get my attention about something.
Hmm. Hmm.
Could be. I don't know. I really wish I had the answer to that.
You're right,
But
mate.
we'll
We
never
we
know that. So,
we do put a lot of these things to the back of our mind, especially people that are not into this kind of stuff.
hmm.
It's just my imagination, or you write these things off. It's not until you kind of look back and think, oh, that happened, that
Hmm.
happened.
And now every time
Interesting.
that I hear something, do you hear that? Do you hear that? What
It's
is
that. It's the Hat Man.
that?
But I've seen shadow figures. Like I've woken up to like the shape of someone
Ooh,
there, that's not there, but
yeah.
like the shape of someone darker than the dark. I've experienced that. And I even experienced that when I was 21. I woke up and there was like the shape of a man standing over my bed. And I thought
Hmm.
it was my brother like messing around. And
Yeah.
I've tried to punch him because I thought it was my brother. And I've gone through this thing, whatever it was, and my brother was on the other side of the room in bed. And
Oh my
he's kind of
God.
woke up, turned the light on, and like, bro, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, I thought you were standing over me. Now at the time, I kind of writ that off as I'd had other paranormal experiences when I was younger, and
Yeah.
I'm very scared of the dark and stuff, even now. But
Hmm.
at the time, I kind of wrote that off as maybe I was stressed at university and stuff and things like that, and I kind of didn't think about it too much. And I was thinking maybe I had a mad dream or something, which maybe I
Yeah.
did, but it wasn't until again looking into the paranormal a little bit more, listening to other shows and stuff, and you hear shadow figures, and it's quite a very common thing that people see. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's what I saw, man.
Hmm.
When I was younger, I saw the
Yeah.
shape of someone there, darker than the dark. And
And
it's
who knows? It could have been a loved one trying to get you a message
yeah,
or something. I mean,
hmm
it's not always negative or demonic or anything.
hmm
So I mean, it could have
absolutely,
been somebody, a past relative that is trying to warn you about something, or
yeah.
something, help you out or something. I don't know.
No, that's very true. That's the
Yeah.
thing with this. We don't know if they're good or bad. Obviously it's scary waking up and seeing something there. That's
Yeah.
never a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. It's not a good thing.
So when this stuff was happening and your wife saw the Hat Man and stuff like that, where was your mindset with the paranormal? Was you like a fully open to it? Was you like a full believer or
Nope.
skeptic?
I've always believed, I guess even going back to the childhood. I remember when I was a kid laying in my backyard looking up at the stars and thinking there's got to be something else out there. I mean, in history class and social studies or whatever class it was, learning about the solar system and the universe and learning how big and how vast it is. I've always thought that, I mean, there's got to be some other form of life out there besides us. There's got to be some kind of sun planet relationship that's just like the Earth and the sun. And
Hmm.
there's got to be life form someplace else. You know, I still think that, and I'm still 99% sure that there is something out there. And I've never seen one. I've seen, lights in the sky moving weirdly and stuff, but I mean, that could be a weird shooting star. I don't know. But and the more I talk to people who've had encounters, there's something out there, whether it's coming from a distant planet, another solar system, or if they are up here on Earth,
Hmm.
somehow hiding or even in plain view. There's got to be something else around.
I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
weird stuff in the sky. I'm not going to
Yeah.
get into it now. I'll save that for when I'm on your podcast. I've shared it many times on the show before. I've seen stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what these things are, obviously, but I know I think that there's stuff out there that we just can't explain, you know.
Yeah.
But I think there's a
100%.
number of things going on. There's like the argument of what these things are, whether they're good or bad. That's the big thing
Mhm.
in our world. There's people that are like these things are positive. They're coming here to help us, and then you've got these things are demons, and there's two sides to
Mhm.
this. I think it could be a mixture of all these things, to be
I,
honest.
I agree with you, and I hate to be the man in the middle, but I think they're just like human beings. There's
Yeah,
good people, there's bad people, there's good spirits, there's bad spirits. I think there's good ETs, there's bad ETs. What's to say that these things aren't us from the future coming back to, warn us or protect us about, blowing up the planet or whatever
yeah.
nuclear powers are going to come out.
Hmm.
I don't know. And again, we'll never know probably.
Hmm.
But, I really think that, some things, if they were all bad with all of the experiences that we've heard about,
We'd be screwed.
something really bad would have happened.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Really,
I
really
agree.
bad.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm talking about, destruction of our planet, bad
Hmm.
happening. I don't think all these are bad.
Yeah, that's so true. If these things were like fully nefarious, we would be screwed right now because
Yeah.
we've got no chance of,
Yeah.
if these things are moving in ways that we just can't imagine. So if they are
Hmm.
wanting to hurt us, we've got no chance.
And
That's.
if some of these stories are true, where the military's been trying to shoot these objects down
Hmm.
and they just can't penetrate their armor or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, if that's true, but yeah. So that's they're so far advanced from what we have now. And even if whatever is happening in Area 51 or other bases around the country secretly, maybe they are reverse engineering things. Because my thought of that is our technology has come an awful long way. And I'm not saying that these scientists and engineers aren't the smartest people around. I mean, you got to be pretty damn smart to do stuff like this.
Hmm.
But things have just advanced leaps and bounds. How does that happen?
So
You know,
quick. Yeah.
yeah, so quick. And
Hmm.
again, these people are some of the brightest people on the planet.
Hmm.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from them at all, but things could help them along. And I think they've found ships or something that is accelerating their learning and
Hmm.
their understanding of this. And we're incorporating that in some of our weapons, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. You
Yeah.
you think like when UFOs, I mean, I think UFOs have always been like in our culture, they didn't
Mhm.
call them UFOs, but they've always been like described as lights in the sky. It goes back to like biblical text and
Yeah.
old paintings that have got pictures that seem to have like what looks like a UFO in the background, and they're like hundreds of years old, this painting. So I think they've always been
Hmm.
there. But if you think like since I think it was like the 40s when there was like a big spike, 1940s when there was like a big spike of UFOs, like, and it
Hmm.
kind of intertwined with nuclear weapons and things like that.
Right.
And you look at since then how we've advanced and how fast we're advancing. I think it's sort of the world is going to be very different in 5 years' time than what it is now. I think that's
Yeah.
quite clear. We're moving in such a fast way with AI and things like that. I don't think we're going to recognize the world in like 10 years' time, for example.
I
The
completely
way
agree with that. Yeah.
the way we're going, we're
Yeah.
moving so fast. It's quite scary.
I completely agree with that. And, everything that you said, I'm 100% on board with. And, that is so very true. And, the 40s, I believe that was when Roswell happened. And even
Hmm.
before that, there's an incident down south of where I live that happened. So, I mean, and really even before that, um, pre-40s, 1940s, you would ancestors wouldn't talk about this stuff, even with like paranormal stuff. I mean, yeah, we don't have ghosts here. That's not real. That's not real.
Yes.
Bigfoot. No, 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 no. That's not real. That's not real.
Hmm.
So, it's I guess from even the 60s on, where people are more, oh, excuse me, are more open to talking about this stuff. And it's
Hmm.
I think even now we're everybody's just way open to talk about this stuff. So
Hmm.
I think we're
Absolutely.
living in a pretty damn good time to do this.
Absolutely, that is for sure, man. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
They because it's always been the perception that if you believe in this kind of stuff, you're crazy, and there is still a little bit of that. You know, when I tell guys at work what I talk about on the show and stuff, they're like, "What? Bigfoot?" I'm like, "Yeah, yes, Bigfoot
Yeah.
is out there, man. Let me tell you." And
Yeah.
you get that look, but
Yeah, I know that look too.
but
You talk
generally,
about what?
yeah, yeah. They just look at you like, "Okay,"
But you know
but
what?
yeah, I know
You
what you're
know,
gonna say. Yeah, go
I
on.
work
Sorry.
at the place that I work. Our boss has been out. She's got cancer and she's been dealing with that. And her chair twice moved by itself. And you know what? As much as they made fun of me, they all looked at me like, well, okay, what do we do?
You want me
I'll come in.
now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you think of me now, dude? But yeah, I'm gonna go in there some night after the cleaning people leave, and I'll poke around and see what we got, and something fun, hopefully.
Yeah, because what I thought you was going to say is when people that kind of say, "Oh, this stuff's not true" and stuff, normally 9 times out of 10, 2 minutes later they're telling you a wild story. They're like,
Hmm.
It's the classic. There was this one time. How many times do you hear that, man? There was
Yeah,
this one time
yeah.
that I saw a headless man in my room, and they'll tell you some incredible story like that, and you're like,
Hmm.
and you don't believe it? Man, come on.
Yeah. I mean, I think I just saw something shoot out
I
behind
saw
you.
that as well. I did see that. I'm hoping it's dust.
It
I
was moving
haven't.
awfully fast for dust.
That was. What the heck
That
was
was
that,
at
man?
about 29 minutes.
Bro, let's mark that down.
Okay,
Because I.
so kind of people watching this, keep keep an eye on this gal here, the blonde right here.
Oh no. Yeah.
People said that she's moved on one of my shows before.
Really?
Yeah. So I look
Oh
back
my
at it and I'm
days.
not sure if she moved or not, if it was something with the
What?
lighting that looked like she moved. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. So
What people have seen her move while you're doing a live?
just a very, very little bit. Just one time.
What?
Yeah.
Because for the
So
people listening, so people that are not watching on YouTube and they're listening, that there is two, what are they, black-eyed kids sitting behind you?
they I mean they certainly look like black eye
They do
kids.
look like black-eyed kids.
And
Which
they're actually just Halloween props that I have. I do the house up really weird for Halloween and stuff. I have a
yes.
My wife went around to a bunch of garage sales around here and she got a ton of dolls and she scuffed them up and made them look really super creepy. I'll send you some pictures. And man, they're creepy as all get out.
Yeah,
But
bro,
anyway,
my
I
daughters
you know,
would
I
love them,
thought
but I would not like them in my house.
no. And I thought these two were too cute to put up in the attic.
Oh,
And I figured, they look make a neat little prop for this.
they
And
are
same
cool.
same thing with these guys back here.
Yep. So
The
that's
two
two
skeletons,
skull
yeah.
heads, skeletons.
Skulls, they're not real. Just for closure, they're not real.
You
They're
sure?
plastic. I'm positive. I'm not that weird. I'm weird, but I'm
Oh
not that
man,
weird.
I can't stop looking at that blonde doll now. With the black eyes they're both just staring at me and it's creepy. But
For in October, I'm gonna put batteries in them, and their eyes are red. So that would be,
bro,
yeah.
man,
Told you, man. I'm weird.
so not so. So for the watchers on YouTube, make sure you keep an eye out. If they move,
Hmm.
let us know. There was something shoot behind me. I did see that.
Yep.
I'm hoping it's dust, because
Right up.
I'll openly admit I'm a person that's like always jumps to the paranormal straight away, and I'm
Hmm.
trying to be a little bit more skeptical. And I was doing a podcast once where we was talking away, and I didn't see it at the time, but there was this little. It looked like a little white blob just kind of walking along. It kind of looked like that. Just doop, doop. I did share it on like Facebook and
Wow.
Instagram and stuff, but I didn't. So I just put the videos out as they are,
Uh-huh.
unless I need to take something out, but I normally don't.
Right.
And I didn't even look back to see this thing, and I was getting messages saying minute 30, whatever it was.
Hmm.
There's something walking along your screen,
Yeah.
and lo and behold, there's like this little white thing. I don't know what it was. I mean, it looked pretty big to be dust. I don't know. I don't want to say. There's been a lot of weird stuff in this house, to be honest.
Same here. I've had in shows people have heard weird breaths or weird noises
Yeah.
come out of somebody's mic, somebody's feet or whatever. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I've gone back and watched it, but I couldn't figure out who it was coming from or what. But man, that whatever that red or white thing was that shot out behind you, that was moving pretty quick.
Oh,
I don't know if I don't remember recall seeing dust move that fast. But anyway,
I was gonna have a quick pray, bro. I'm just gonna pray quickly just before we continue.
I got some, it's not going to do you any good there, but I got some sage going here. So
Yeah, well, send it over, bro.
yeah. Can I sage somebody else's house from
I
here?
think so. Maybe it's intention. Maybe I know.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh man, I'll save it for when I'm on your podcast.
Okay.
There was a. I keep saying I'm sorry. There was a spell where in this house it was getting quite worrying. Now at the moment it seems quite everything's been all right for a while, but there was a point when my wife turned around to me and said, "You need to stop doing this paranormal podcast because you're bringing something in," which I think happens.
Oh,
I think
100%.
when you're looking into this stuff, it looks back.
It wasn't this past December, but I guess 24. I'm the only one in the house that watches football around here. Besides, well, my dogs will sit and watch with me on the couch. But I was sitting and watching a playoff game, I think. And so in the family room, the TV is on the wall above the fireplace, and then right, good ways in front of it is the couch. Right, and I was sitting on the couch. I had a dog here. The corner of the room was over here. Um, there's a return vent up on top there. And then right behind me is a short wall, and the kitchen's right behind me. And my wife was making dinner. And, I'm watching football. She's not really paying attention to anything. My son's upstairs playing in his video games or whatever. And all of a sudden, something happened in the game. And all of a sudden, I hear right up here, oh my God. It said, oh my God. And I thought it was my wife. And I said, honey, did you say something? And then she said, no, I thought you said something. And I was quiet. When I watch football, I don't really have a favorite team. I'm just watching a good game or whatever. And the
Hmm.
dogs obviously don't care. Someone's petting them. So, and, we both heard it plain as day. Oh my God.
Ooh, did you recognize the voice? Was it a
Nope.
voice you knew or?
Nope.
Whoa,
Nope.
it is
So,
weird, man.
yeah. This might have been around the time where after I came back from an investigation, I might have brought something back. I don't know.
Hmm.
But it was just really weird that, it's quiet. Like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your wife heard it as
So,
well, which is,
yeah, we both heard it plain as day. And I don't remember if the dog reacted to it because she was pretty much out laying on my lap and I was petting her. So she doesn't have care in the world then. Um,
oh,
but yeah. And
man.
then, so this had to have been September 24, I think, somewhere fall of 24. I went to this place down in Brumley, Missouri called the Haunted Castle House. And we walked around in there. We didn't really get a whole lot of evidence inside the house. We were sitting outside the house, and they have one of these motion detector lights that go on the outside. And every time the light went off, we would feel this. It was a no wind at all. We would feel this cool breeze come between us. And Krista was there at the time next to me, and she said she saw something, um, uh, an apparition right in front of us. I didn't see it. So we were outside and that happened. So we got names and stuff. And one of the names that we got in the house was Elijah, who was a little kid. He didn't die in the house, but his family did. So the had to have been September. In October, I'm home. In October, uh, Christmas Eve, ever since I was a little kid, and I'm 53 now, ever since I was a little kid, my dad's side of the family would exchange Christmas presents, and everybody would get together at my mom and dad's house for Christmas. Mom and dad are both gone, so I'm carrying on that tradition at my house here. So I had one night in October, we had all my cousins over, a couple aunts and uncles that were still alive. We had them over to draw names for Secret Santa. So I'm sitting at the sink. To my left, my cousin was, we have kind of a little bar stools on the sink, and my cousin was sitting there kind of facing me. And we had these, these rubber stoppers that you put in the sink to keep the water in so it doesn't all drain out. It was sitting on the sink, and there it was probably about that much space, probably was that 3 inches from the edge of the sink to the backsplash, and it was securely on there. It was 100% all that rubber stopper was on the back of the sink. All of a sudden, I'm standing at the sink. All of a sudden, this stopper flips into the sink. And I looked at that, and I looked at my cousin, and she saw it too. So, I'm like, okay, you saw that, and I'm not crazy. So I spent the next 5 minutes jumping up and down, doing all kinds of things, pounding on the countertop. Nothing got it to move. The only thing that got it to move was turning the garbage disposal on, and the whole thing was vibrating, and it was loud. But when it happened, nothing was on. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty weird. And I just kind of played it off as that was my dad was there. He wanted to visit with his family and everything. So, okay, dad showed up. He's been in the house before, which is fine. I like him here. Um, and then a week or so later, I was taking a shower, and we have glass doors on the shower, and my wife's sink was right outside the door, and I had my phone on the edge of the sink, and I saw it light up. Someone texted me, or I got some kind of message. So I'm looking at it to see if I could see who texted me or whatever. And out of the corner of my eye, those rubber, not the rubber, but the hair ties that women wear, well, I guess, and guys sometimes, where she had one on the side of the sink, other opposite side of my phone. It was a good 2, 3 inches away from the edge of the sink. I saw it out of the corner of my eye, up, flip, and into the sink. And I'm like, that was a weird gurgle. I don't know if that was you or if that
Yeah,
was me.
I think that was me.
Okay, I'm like, okay,
Sorry,
I
man.
heard that. No, that's okay. That's what we do in these.
That's this
When you
can.
hear anything weird, okay, there's something happened. Okay, well, debunked.
That was
Um,
me. I
okay,
think it
all
was
right,
me.
cool, debunked. But I'm like, holy cow! And then I'm doing a show a week or so later, and I have this medium on that I have. She comes on and does readings for everybody in chat, and I told her what was going on, and she said, "You that Elijah guy, that kid, came back with you." And he's hanging around you because he thinks you're fun. And I said, word for word, dude, you got to get out of here. I'm as boring as all get out. I, I work, come home, eat dinner, come up here and do a podcast, and that's it. Um, he's gone now. Nothing weird has happened, but
Man.
something else happened. I can't remember what it was, but those were two really weird things that happened after I got back from that location.
Yeah.
And that it's never happened before, and it hasn't happened since,
Hmm.
thank God. but
Yeah.
um but yeah, it's something came back with me that night.
Is that a worry for you? Do you think bringing stuff back? I know that's a risk that
it,
when you do these paranormal investigations.
every time I go to these locations, I always say a prayer, just watch over me. My parents, my grandparents watch over me, so I know that if anything does attach to me, it's not going to hurt me.
Hmm.
And they're going to protect me 100%. In when they were alive, they were going to protect me. In the afterlife, they're protecting me, and I know that.
Hmm.
So every time I go to these places, I ask them for protection and stuff. And come to think of it, it might not be, maybe they should let something in so I can actually experience more. But for the most part, nothing that they keep everything away from me.
Hmm.
But maybe this kid did think I was interesting and fooled him. But yeah, nothing's real. Nothing else has come back that I know of.
Hmm.
And every time I leave, I always ask my wife if she wants to go, and she's like, "No, no, 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 no. This is your thing. This is your people. You go and have fun." I'm like, "Okay." So, but she always gives me the speech, "Don't you dare bring anything back with you."
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all of this stuff doesn't scare me. She
Hmm.
scares me. So,
Yeah.
so, so I'm very careful not to bring anything back. So
Yeah,
I
man.
don't think anything nasty has come back with me.
Hmm.
Maybe that kid, maybe I don't know if anything else has or not, but yeah, that's the weirdest thing that is one of the weirdest things that have happened
So
since I started doing this.
where does your wife stand with the paranormal? She had the Hat Man experience. Has she had quite a lot of experiences herself? Where does she stand with the
I
paranormal?
mean, her dad died right before we got married. She knows that she's bumped into him here at the house. My son has seen him. He had lung cancer. My father-in-law had lung cancer. He was a smoker. He was a really little kid at the time, and she was talking about him, and my son said, "Oh, like that guy with the puffer back there?" And she turned around and looked, and hey, there's nobody there. So, I mean, my son's named after him, so yeah, I'm sure he's here watching over his grandson and watching over
Hmm.
his daughter, watching over me. So,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, they're all welcome, of course,
Hmm. Hmm.
But I mean, yeah, she believes in the ghosts and the and UFOs and stuff. She's kind of on the fence about Bigfoot and other cryptids too. I mean, she's like, I don't think that's just kind of far-fetched for her. But
Hmm.
that's fine. Not
Yeah,
everybody believes in this stuff, so
absolutely.
um but yeah, that's where she's I mean, I think she's going to go on one or two with me later this year.
Hmm.
So, and she keeps saying that you're gonna worry more about if I'm okay or not. I'm like, "Mm, you're probably right, but I mean, what husband wouldn't, you know?"
Yeah, no, that's it, man. That's
So,
it. Because
yeah.
you find quite often that with couples, one is like really open to this stuff, and then one doesn't believe it. And I always find
Hmm.
that really interesting. Like I talk to people that are like really out there with this stuff, and then
Hmm.
I'll ask them what their husband thinks or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, he doesn't believe it." And I always find that quite interesting because
Right.
you get that quite a lot.
Right.
And my wife's had quite some weird experiences as well, and she's very open to it. She's not as into it as I am, but
Hmm.
she knows she believes this stuff is real. So, but
Yeah.
it must
And
be
that sounds like
difficult.
my wife too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They don't obsess like we do.
Right. Exactly. She obsesses about other things, I'm more on
Yeah,
this. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you ever seen anything paranormal? Have you had any visuals yourself?
No.
Not yet.
Once. Once.
Once.
Um, so we were at this place down in Arcadia, Missouri, which is down in southern Missouri, about hour and a half away from St. Louis, and it's called Arcadia Academy. And I was down there with a group of people, and so my show is kind of part of a group of other shows, and it was on a Saturday night. And one guy, he lives up in Michigan. His name is Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Go check him out, BMR and
Yeah,
Beyond.
I know Bill Maher.
Um,
Yeah.
he was doing a show late nights on Saturday nights, and we were doing live shoots at this Arcadia Academy. And a lady by the name of Terry Mosby had a God's helmet. And if you don't know what those are, it's the one that she has looks like a transformer head, and it has red lights all around the top of it, and it kind of puts you in a more relaxed state to experience things with, almost like LSD, I guess, but not.
Hmm.
Um, so this place is an old Civil War, used to be an old Civil War hospital, and she was under the God's helmet one time, and she was sitting on a couch. To her left, my right was a small little staircase, maybe like 3 steps, went down. There was like a laundry room now, but it must have been something else in the Civil War era. And then there was a wall to her right. Behind me was, I guess, nursing quarters at the time of the Civil War. So she was with the helmet on. She was seeing nurses running behind me like crazy. And they're down on the bottom of these 3 or 4 steps. A guy kept coming out and kind of watching us, like, "Oh, what are these people doing?" And then she kept seeing people behind me. I'm on my phone recording this on his show, and there's people looking over my shoulder, like, "Oh, what's that? What is that device that he's using?" So I mean, they're Civil War people; they don't know what cell phone is. So you only want to be under this thing for like 10, 15 minutes. So she was done. And then on the show, BMR told me, suggested that I put the God's helmet on. I'm like, I've been kind of wanting to do it, but I haven't really seen anything yet. And what happens if I don't see anything and I'm on a show and I look like an idiot? So like, I was kind of apprehensive and like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. So during this whole show, a guy named Sir Brian Bowden was in chat. I don't know if you guys know him down in
Yes,
Florida.
absolute. Yeah.
Fantastic human
Legend.
being. One of
Yeah.
the best. Yes.
Yeah.
I am forever connected with him and BMR for this story. He was in the chat, and eventually he was in the chat so much and giving so much information that Rob just sent him a link and he came on the show. So after Terry was finished with her God's helmet, Brian was telling me, and mind you, he is in Florida. He's a remote viewer. He's in Florida. We were in Missouri. He has never been to this place. And he was telling me, okay, go out the door outside, make a left, go on the other side of the building, go down the driveway. You're going to see a door under a white awning. Go through that door. That's going to be a priest's quarters. There's going to be a room to your right. Go in that room. I'm like, okay, how in the world can you see that? I knew this guy was good then,
Hmm.
and I'm like, come on, Brian, really? Okay. I go outside, turn left. Okay, well, so far, okay. And then I make the left on the other side of the building, and I see a white awning. Like, okay. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, this guy is really good. And I mean, he is fantastic. He is one of the best that I've ever met. And I've actually got to meet him a couple times in person. Fantastic human being. So we get in there in the room. There's a table, probably about a 10-foot long table. I was on the head table, and on both sides of the room, there was like a 7-foot door, 7, 8 foot door, probably 7 foot tall door. And above each door was like I guess the fire glass that they had in the old days above it. So that's probably about a foot tall. So about 8, 9 foot tall ceilings. So I'm sitting at the head table. Terry and some other gal were actually sitting there on my right filming me. So right before I put the God's helmet on, Brian says, Paul, take a deep breath. Something very incredible is about to happen to you. And I'm like, okay. I'm a little worried now, but okay. And at this point, Brian's fantastic. So I'm like, okay, something's really cool is going to happen. So I put the thing on, I take a few deep breaths, and all I see is the white noise on TV. You can't see anything. It's just white. I wasn't hearing anything, but you just saw the white.
Hmm.
And I'm sitting there, and you know how you can sense when somebody's around you. I said, and I kind of opened my eyes, but I didn't see anything. I saw Terry and the other gal. Can't remember what her name was. But I'm like, there's somebody at the other end of the table, but I can't see them, but I know that they're there. And Brian said, it's an older gentleman, white hair, comb back, white scruffy beard, almost like a grandfatherly figure, smiling really big at you. And I'm like, okay, that's my grandpa. 100% that's my grandpa. You just get that feeling that, that's a loved one near you. And he described my grandfather to a T. So
Whoa.
like, okay, grandpa's there. All right. I feel something behind me now, and I felt something on my shoulder. And he's like, well, that's another older gentleman, not as old as the guy across the table, but he's also smiling at you. And he described him, gray hair, goatee. That was my dad. So my dad had his hand on my shoulder. Grandpa was down there smiling at me. And then Brian's like, well, you have other family members in the shadows. They're not coming out, but they're there. And they're keeping all kinds of stuff out of the room for you. But he also said, but there's a gray alien there. I'm like, okay. But, I just had that feeling that, there was just a lot of love in the room. And, grandpa was out there, dad was here, whoever else. I know my mom, my grandma, my other grandparents were out there. Whoever else that has passed was there protecting me from something. And Brian said they're keeping everything outside the room. And like, oh my God, this is freaking awesome. So I'm trying to focus, trying to see if I can see grandpa or dad or whoever. And then so I open my eyes and I'm kind of looking around and I'm looking at the corner of the room up there above the door. And sure enough, I see the almond face of a gray. And I'm like, what? Up above the thing. God's honest truth.
Whoa.
Yeah. And, this all took like 15 minutes and stuff. And, I finally got out of it and I broke down. I mean, it was such an emotional thing. I couldn't keep it together. And I'm like, man, this is just incredible. Too neat. Um,
Wow.
but that's really um, the only time I've seen a gray outside of books and stuff.
Hmm.
But to feel, the family love and everything was just incredible, incredible.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Was the grey like the typical grey that we see? Like the
hmm The
whoa.
almond eyes, the black almond eyes, I guess the teardrop face.
Hmm.
I mean, but man, it was tall though. It was every bit of 7, 8 feet tall because it was up by the window up there.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I mean, ever since that day, and I told Brian and I told BMR that you know, hopefully, we're all really good friends now. Hopefully, we all stay that way because I mean, we're all connected now, at
Hmm.
least in my eyes. I mean, through all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was absolutely incredible. Absolutely
Man.
incredible. Yeah.
So the face was like a solid, like it was just there. It
hmm
wasn't like see-through or anything like that.
Nope. It was just gray, just like a light gray that they you see in pictures.
Hmm.
Couldn't see through it. It was just up there watching us, not doing anything bad or anything, just watching us.
Yeah.
And I kind of looked around the room a little bit. I didn't see anything else. Just a bunch of the TV snow, what I call.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah,
I mean, there's so much there. Sir Brian, he's
yeah,
amazing, dude.
he is. He is.
He's been on the podcast before. I've known him for a little while now as well. He's such a cool
hmm
dude.
Yeah,
That's incredible that he even knows, like, he could even tell you where to go whilst he wasn't there.
yeah. And I've heard remote viewing
Hmm.
him talking about stuff that he's nowhere near it. And I'm like, okay, he's pretty cool. He's good.
Yeah.
But then that night he was almost I mean he was spot on. I mean, it wasn't almost anything about it. He was spot on.
Hmm. Hmm.
Everything that was coming to him was spot on. And then another one happened to me with him. He was on my show. Krista from Blinds and Booze is a co-host of mine on Wednesday. I think we were doing it on Saturday at the time. But she was at this place that we go to called Emmaus Asylum out here, about an hour from where I live. And she jumped on the show and said, "Man, it is just off the charts, crazy. We're getting all kinds of um, uh, interactions in the asylum. We're getting it's so Emmaus is kind of in a bowl surrounded by woods, and there's alleged dogman activity around there. They were getting stuff in the asylum, outside of the asylum, in the woods, weird noises. They were seeing all kinds of UFOs and stuff in the sky." And so I'm like, okay, I'll when the show's over with, I'm gonna drive out there for a little bit And then Brian's like, well, I'm seeing a big smokestack and two buildings, and a black figure is gonna walk out of the woods in those two buildings after the or outside around those two buildings, and that's gonna be a Bigfoot. And I'm like, okay. So I we finished the show. I get out there and I'm talking with a bunch of people, and sure enough, either he called or Krista called him, and we saw what he was talking about. There was a little black figure. I don't want to say little,
Hmm.
but I couldn't really tell how tall it was. It was from a distance. A black figure. Couldn't really make anything out, but you can tell it was a black mass. Um, Came out of the woods, went back in. There was a smokestack behind us. Um, so he was spot on. He was spot on.
Man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it's kind of undeniable when you experience something like that. It's
yeah,
undeniable. How can you
yeah.
explain that?
Yeah, exactly. And when he explains that and tells you where to go and you follow it and you see everything that he's seeing, but you're seeing it in person and he's seeing it from 1,000 miles away or whatever.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
does that happen? You know?
That's wild.
I know
I mean,
that it blows my mind every time I think about it.
hmm I know if you know JJ Rose 777. She's been on my
The-
podcast and many shows. Have
yeah,
you heard of her?
the name sounds familiar. I don't think
Yeah.
I know her.
She's a lovely lady. She'd be good to get on your show as well. And she kind of proved to me the same sort of thing. So we had something weird happen in our house. My wife saw something one morning,
Hmm.
and JJ's a cool person that I can message and ask, for advice and stuff like that. And what do you think? And I asked her what she thought it could be, and she said in her words, so she's like a white witch,
Hmm.
very spiritual person, and she said, "I'm going to come over." And I was like,
Oh
okay.
wow.
And she's in California. I was like, okay, I'm in the UK. I was like, oh, yeah, you can come over for sure.
Wow, okay.
She means astral coming over. And I'm like, yeah, cool, that's fine. She went, is that okay if I come and check it out? Now, you hear something like that, and for your people that don't look into this stuff, even for me, sort of at that time, I was like, okay, yeah, you can come over. I mean, I know I've never put the layout of my house
Hmm.
anywhere. It's not on any social media. There might be a few pictures inside my house, but I've never shown people like the layout of my house. I don't think you can find that anywhere.
Right.
But she's telling me I'm going up your stairs. I've got your bathroom in front of me. Your room's on the left, and she starts basically explaining the layout of my house without seeing it. I'm in your kitchen, like she's described like the how my kitchen looked and stuff. And to me, it just she was there. Like she could see it. Like unless you're just guessing, which
Yeah.
is just, that's just as amazing, really, if you can guess that. But I was
Yeah.
like, how does she know? And for me, that was like proof that you can do this kind of thing. Astral projection is
Yeah.
very real.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
It's
um,
scary, scary real. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, the good ones are going to ask permission and stuff to,
Hmm.
enter your home or wherever, but how many people are not asking permission
Hmm.
and who? I mean, can the
That,
government have anything like this?
I mean,
And that's
I've
pretty
heard.
damn scary.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think that's
Yeah.
very possible that that kind of thing can happen.
Yeah.
I've heard, stories of people being haunted by the living, basically, in that
Hmm.
sense, which is very scary. It's a scary thought.
Yeah.
Astral projection, remote viewing, they're kind of they're similar in a way. I know they're slightly different. Remote viewing is more, you're not actually there, but you're kind of seeing it in your mind. And I think
Yeah.
astral projection is more, you're literally your spirit is there walking around.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
And not necessarily in this realm, from
Yes,
what I
yeah,
understand. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's really dangerous from what I understand too. I
Hmm.
mean, you could get stuck someplace, I think,
Yeah.
and it's yeah, just be careful with doing that. I have no intention of doing that, but I wouldn't mind trying to open up for remote viewing and stuff.
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
know if that's something that, I can learn and develop or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, people
Um,
remote view the moon and stuff like that. You hear stories like that,
yeah,
people doing
yeah,
that, and it does
yeah.
seem really cool. But you also hear the stories of people doing stuff like that, and we know as well that our governments either do it or definitely try to do it. We know,
Hmm.
I'm sure you know like Uri Geller and people like that. They talk about
Hmm.
the government using him, for example, doing these kind of things. You know, they definitely, if you can do that, they're going to
Yeah,
want to be able to do it. That's for sure.
yeah,
But you hear stories of people remote viewing like Area 51, for example, and other locations like that, military bases, the moon and things. And you hear stories of like there's something there that knows that they're remote viewing, and then they're kind of having this spiritual battle in this
hmm
astral realm. And then that's wild. You know, that's when you tell your guys at work what you're doing, and they give you
Yeah.
that look.
Then I think I would even look at you like,
Really?
really, dude?
There's battles in the astral realm on the moon. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. I'm telling you.
That would be a hard one for me to sell, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But you do hear these
but
stories,
yeah.
man. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah.
but you kind of when someone proves to you that they can actually do that, you know, because
Hmm.
it'd be so hard to guess the layout of someone's house or a building. You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of it can happen, you know?
And you know, at least with buildings, you can get on Google Maps or whatever and kind of if you know where somebody's at, you can kind of see what's going on. But
Yeah.
how would he know that that's a priest room, a priest building or whatever that is?
Yeah.
And how would he know that I would need to go there to have an incredible experience?
Yeah. And then you
So I
did.
mean,
And then
that's just yeah,
you
yeah,
saw something as well, which is
yeah,
wild.
yeah, exactly.
Man. I mean, difficult question, but the grey that you saw, for example, what do you think that is? Do you think that's I know that's a tough question because we don't know, but do you think that is an alien from another realm? Or what are your thoughts on that kind of thing? What did you think that
Well,
was?
so I guess to answer that question, I was down in that general vicinity last weekend. And so in St. Louis, there's so much light pollution here that, you know, I can see maybe a handful of stars. I can see Orion's belt, but that's about it. Just three dots and just a few other ones around here. So we were out there and there is just a ton of stars out there. They're in the middle of nowhere and there's no light pollution. I was taking pictures, opening up the iris on the camera. There was just so many stars that it's just incredible. I saw all of Orion's belt and everything, but we were also seeing weird objects in the sky doing weird things, kind of in the vicinity of, we were pretty close to Arcadia that night. We were kind of looking in the direction of Arcadia, and there was a lot of things moving around out there. And I know there's some place here in Missouri. I don't know where, and they won't disclose it, I guess. But there's a place called Marley Woods or something like that. That's kind of like the Missouri version of Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, where all kinds of strange things happen. And, you know, I don't know if that's anywhere near there, but from this past weekend, looking at that direction, seeing all kinds of weird possible UFO activity, movement around in the sky, you know, that could very well have been a hotspot where we were in Arcadia, that, you know, things come and go in that general vicinity for some unknown reason that, you know, a gray could have wandered in there and just, you know, do whatever they do
Hmm.
and are just either observing us, protecting us, you know, whatever. And I really believe that it was a gray there, just either a scout or something. I don't know what it was doing,
Hmm.
but I mean, it's just I really believe that it was definitely there, and hopefully my family was keeping it away from me. So
Yeah, I mean that's how it
I mean, yeah,
sounds. Yeah.
yeah.
It sounds like you're being
So
protected and you could feel the love as well of your family. That's
oh
very
yeah, yeah,
interesting as well.
yeah, 100%. But yeah, you know, as far as the gray there, I think it definitely was something there, either watching what was going on or
Hmm.
whatever it does. So, but I
Interesting,
believe
man.
that was 100% real there.
Yeah. And you said you could could you feel your dad's
Yeah,
hand on your shoulder? You could actually feel it
yeah.
as
I
well.
felt something tap on my shoulder,
Wow.
and that you know, like whoa. But
Yeah.
and right when I said that, that's when he picked that up too. So
See, how can you explain that?
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
exactly.
I mean, as you say, that's a cool experience for yourself. Like, it's hard to prove these things,
Hmm.
but you know, you felt it, you saw the thing. You know, Brian's telling you what he's seeing.
Yeah,
That's so interesting, man. That is
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and I just, after that, I just had such a much greater appreciation for what he did, for what
Hmm.
he does and stuff. And it's just, I mean, how do you get that talented to know where things are like that, to be that talented at remote viewing and stuff?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that could be a dangerous thing too. I mean, I've talked to some that help in police investigations for missing people
Hmm.
and stuff, but I guess you have to be careful with that, that if you see where something is at, boom, all of a sudden you're a suspect.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people that I've talked to were doing that, but I guess they kept doing it and they were good at it, and they're like, well, you know what? I'm getting questioned now about this stuff. Maybe this isn't the smartest thing to do. I mean, they didn't do anything,
Hmm.
just trying to help. But I mean, it makes sense that, if somebody can tell you exactly where something is, who else would know that, you
Yeah.
know?
I can't
So,
imagine the powers that be would like us to have that
yeah.
power, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, being able to get into Area 51 or even government buildings or whatever, they don't want that.
Hmm.
So I mean that makes sense if they can have somebody that could fight that and protect that. Um, not necessarily. I mean, we laughed at it and stuff, but it could very well be happening
Yeah.
because people like Brian. I mean, if they can give me the exact location of where to go at this place, what's to say that they can't, do the exact same thing at Area 51
Hmm.
or someplace else?
We need to get
So,
them in the Vatican. We need to get them down there.
yeah.
We need to know what's there. But again, if like I was saying, like the spiritual battle, there could be, and it'd be interesting to talk to someone that's maybe tried to get into the Vatican, for example, just to
Hmm.
see if there is like some sort of security in that
Hmm.
in that world. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, but we do live in a wild world, brother. That is for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It is definitely a very interesting world that we live in,
Mhm.
for sure.
I've got to talk to you about Bigfoot. I know Bigfoot and Dogman. Have you got time to go into the
Absolutely. I
cryptids?
got time. Yeah. I told
Awesome.
you I have to be at work at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So as long as I'm off of here by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're good.
So where do you stand with Bigfoot? When did you start getting interested in the cryptid topic?
When I was a kid, I remember seeing, I guess the Patterson Giblin film. I saw that. I've always thought that it was real. I mean, when I remember it was go, that looks pretty cool.
Hmm.
But I never really paid it much attention until getting into this stuff. And then, I believed it because a lot of the stories that I've heard from very trusted sources, and I know these people, and I know that they're honest people, and I know that the encounters that they've had, they're 100% true, or that's what they saw.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, I'm just on the fence whether it's flesh and blood or spiritual creature. I think it can be both.
Hmm.
This past September, we had the group that I'm with, we had a little paranormal conference, and we were on one side of the state of Missouri, and then we brought some people back to Emmaus, and we had some experiences there in the asylum, and then we were all sitting outside, talking, just laughing, having a good old time, and we kept seeing white lights in the trees, like up high in the trees and everything, and hearing weird knocks and stuff. And the next morning, everybody left to go to the airport or drive home or whatever. And me and Natalie, she was over at Emmaus filming something, and I was just kind of staying around. We stayed in an Airbnb on the other side of the highway from there. So I was just staying over there, let her do her stuff over there, and then we kind of walked behind the Airbnb towards the wood line, and because we heard all kinds of weird things that night. So we are just kind of walking around killing time or whatever. And I looked down and I saw a white egg on the ground. I'm like, okay, is that an egg? And she said, yeah, that's an egg, I guess. Must have been something fell out of a tree, bird's egg or whatever. I don't know. And then I looked up a little bit further and I saw a footprint. And I'm like, oh, what's that? because I had never been in the woods prior to this. And she looked at it. She was in the LBL, Land Between the Lakes. She's been doing this in Florida, doing all kinds of research and stuff. So she's my one of my go-to people with cryptid side of things. So, and she's also my co-host on Tuesday nights. And so she's examining this, and you can see the toes, you can see the heel, you can see the outline of the foot. I'll send you the picture too.
Hmm.
And I measured it on my phone. I have an app that measures. It's 18 and a half inches from heel to
Whoa,
toe. Um,
that's big,
it was
man.
it was about 20 yards from where we were sleeping. We were all sleeping in this one house.
Hmm.
It was 20 yards from where we were sleeping. And ever since then, I was in shorts and tennis shoes. She didn't have any equipment. So we didn't go. We kind of looked in the woods. We didn't go in deep into the woods because neither one of us were prepared to go in there. So ever since then, I've been on the biggest Bigfoot kick. I mean, I'm having guests on that have had experiences. I've been watching all kinds of shows, Small Town Monsters, Hellbent Holler, all kinds of Bigfoot shows that I've been just diving into, and almost to the point where I'm neglecting the paranormal side of it and the UFO side of it. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute, I got to step back. I got to pay some attention to this stuff. But that was my introduction into, I guess, Bigfoot. Um, and I'm all in now. I want to get in the woods. I'm actually going down to Carbondale, Illinois. A buddy of mine has a farm that's had uh, uh, Bigfoot and other cryptid encounters there. I don't know about spending the night. They've been joking with me that I'm going to be Bigfoot bait. So, maybe by the end of March, I'm still around, hopefully. But I'm really excited about it and hope to, even if we don't find anything, the stories that I'm going to hear down there are just going to be fun. So, yeah.
Absolutely, man. That's a big footprint. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
what can make that, you know? There's no
Well,
logical explanation.
yeah, exactly. My thought was Bigfoot. And then I showed it to Brian, and he right off the bat he kept saying Dogman, Dogman. It's a Dogman print. I'm like, if it's Bigfoot, I think like we said before, like with spirits, us, aliens, there's both good and bad. I think there's both good and bad Bigfoot too.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I haven't heard a whole lot of good things about Dogman.
No, no, you don't.
S-
I don't
If
think I've
that's a
ever heard.
Dogman print, yeah, I don't know that I'm going to go back in those woods. And
Hmm.
actually, that area that Emmaus sits on, like I said, it was a bowl, and there's a road that kind of leads back. So Krista from Blondes and Booze, my co-host on Wednesday, and a really good friend, she lives out that way, like 10 minutes, 10, 20 minutes from there. And there have been Dogman sightings on a road out there that she's named Dogman Road. So that's not that far from there.
Hmm.
So and also there was I don't know if you guys are familiar with St. Louis, the Gateway Arch that we have downtown. There was a a Bigfoot sighting by the arch too, which is really bizarre. I
Hmm.
never really looked into that. But to think that we were that close to a possible dog man, that's a little scary to me.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It isn't. Do you think that because I like we said about UFO, like you just said, I think there's a mixture of things going on with these cryptids. I think
Hmm.
some could be supernatural, and because a lot of the times when people are out investigating this stuff, they're getting the same sort of activity that you get in a haunted house, for example. They're
Right.
experiencing the same kind of things, the orbs, the sounds, the senses. The equipment sometimes goes wrong and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But then there are obviously, the flesh and blood side of these things as well, where people, they leave physical marks. There's
Hmm.
the people see these things. It is interesting. Bigfoot is one of my favorites as well, man. It's
Yeah.
probably a big reason why I do the podcast because I find it so interesting. There's so much to it.
Yeah.
Um,
And there's so many encounter stories too that,
yeah.
and each one is just different. And
Hmm.
it's just, I've never had one on the show that I've thought, nah, you're full of it.
Hmm.
This didn't happen. Every one that I've had on, I've either heard their story on another show before, I don't want to say word for word, but almost the exact same story. So, when you hear the same thing over and over again, and you watch these people tell these stories, you know when they're telling the truth, and you
Hmm.
know when they're not.
Hmm.
And these people, in my mind, are 100% telling the truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm Bigfoot camp for sure. I know they're around. What,
Yeah.
this all the stuff with the Patterson Gimlin film and this documentary, whatever.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that.
We can get into that. Because like you, the Patterson Gimlin film was like the holy grail for me. It was
Hmm.
like I've said it so many times on the podcast. We've got the Patterson Gimlin film, and for me, that's real. And I've always stood by that and believed that. You know,
Hmm.
I haven't seen the documentary. The documentary's not
No.
out yet, so nobody's. A few
Yeah.
people, a few select people have seen it and are describing the stuff that is going to come out. And
Hmm.
if it is true what these people are saying, I don't know. I mean, I don't want it to not be real, but at the same time, if it is not real, and if it is proven that the Patterson Gimlin film was a hoax, if
Hmm.
I'm not saying it is, if it is, it doesn't discredit the fact that Bigfoot's real. So many people
Exactly.
see these things. There's so much evidence out there.
Hmm.
It's a tough one, man. I'm
I
hoping.
mean, I've heard so many scientists study that film and the movements and everything that they can't find flaws on it.
Mm,
And I mean, we're honestly, I think we're only gonna the only two people who know 100% what happened that day is Patterson and Giblin.
hmm.
Patterson's gone, so we'll never hear from him again. His wife, maybe that's secondhand story, whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Hmm.
And Gimlin, I'm not he's what 90 something now. You don't know how much his memory is, what his
Hmm.
memory's like. So my theory is, and I honestly, this is my thought. I have no idea one way or the other. I heard that this is Patterson's son or grandson or somebody that
Hmm.
made this documentary, and then that's supposedly saying that this is all a hoax. And his wife is the one that's getting all the royalties from the film, the Patterson Gimlin film. Um, so my theory is this kid isn't getting any of the royalties from the Patterson Gimlin film that he feels that he should be owed. And he's coming out with this documentary that's slamming, making this a hoax to get back at his late father and his mother.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. But that, in my mind, that could be a reason why he's doing this and why
Yeah,
they're all saying that's a hoax. But because there's been so
absolutely.
much scientific study and so many people studying this, trying to debunk it, and they just can't.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, you see like
so
muscle definition. It doesn't look like a
yeah.
suit. The thing is, that's what's always been the thing for me, is that
Hmm.
in the 60s, when that was recorded, the films, the Hollywood movies, the big budget films of that time were nowhere near as good as the
Right.
Patterson Gimlin film. Like we had Planet of the Apes after, I believe, the
Exactly.
Patterson Gimlin, and that was nowhere near. And you'd be like,
And you could tell those were
you could
costumes. They were
tell
terrible
straight
costumes.
away. So, and
Yeah.
how could two cowboys, that fake something like
Yeah.
that? And then, but again, at the same time, I haven't seen the documentary. So once we
Hmm.
see it, I guess we'll have more idea.
Yeah.
All I do know is I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I watched a video of a guy that saw the documentary. I think he was at because they're trying to get funds to put the film
Yeah.
out now. So they are having screenings, so there are people seeing it. And
Hmm.
he was saying that it shocked him. It made him so sad, and he fully believes that the film is now not real. Time will tell. We're going to see the
Yeah.
film hopefully, and we'll be able to see it for ourselves.
I think somebody sent me the clip of the guy that you're talking about. I can't remember who it
Yeah,
is, but
I can't remember.
he
Yeah.
he said he had a cold, so he was kind of talking funny.
Yes. Yeah.
But and I think if it does come out that this is a hoax, or they say that this is a hoax on that documentary, I think this is just gonna plant people even deeper in their beliefs on that film. I mean, the naysayers are going to say, "No way, that's a hoax. You all are messed up and weird." And the
Hmm.
people who think it's real are going to get even deeper and believe even more in it that it's real. And
Hmm.
it's just I think it's just going to cause just a
Divide and
lot more
conquer.
attention. Yeah, yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but
Yeah. Unless, I mean, and again, it could all be AI. This film, this new film could all be AI.
yeah, exactly.
That's what I'll blame
AI
it
is
on.
getting so damn good.
AI, man.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the videos you watch now of AI is just, it's so hard to tell. You just
Yeah.
assume everything's AI now, which is
Hmm.
what probably part of the plan. It's probably part of
Yeah.
the plan to stop us because we've all got HD cameras in our pocket now.
Hmm.
So, it's we're going to catch a lot of evidence.
Yeah. I use AI. The only thing I use AI for is for the thumbnails for the show
Hmm.
and stuff like that. I would never put any evidence through there
Oh
or
no, yeah.
anything like that. And I stuff that I do put in there is for fun and just for laughs,
Hmm.
and had nothing to do with paranormal and stuff. So,
Yeah,
but it can be funny sometimes. Where
yeah.
you,
I mean,
but
AI is good in a lot of ways. We are kind of we're completely leaning on it now. It's
yeah.
it's going to be more and more prevalent in our lives, and it's going to
Hmm.
be to the point where we need a cell phone now. And I say this quite a lot, but we need a cell phone. You take our
Hmm.
cell phones away now, we're going to be like, what the heck? What do we do? And that's
Yeah.
probably going to be the same with AI. And then they're going to
Hmm.
try and integrate it into us, and it become a part of us. Not saying I want that. I don't want any chips in me or anything
Yeah.
like that. But I
No, no
think it's
thanks.
like inevitable that they're going to try and do that, and a lot of people will do it. I think,
Yeah.
and that's going to be the
Yeah.
turning point for humanity.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that's going to be a sad day too.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Bro. So we're gonna see with the Patterson Gimlin film. We're not sure yet. Whatever the outcome of that is,
hmm
Bigfoot's still out there in my mind.
yeah. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that's just one case.
Hmm.
I mean, that's not going to say that everything that everybody else sees is a complete hoax. I
Hmm.
think that they're definitely out there. What else would have made a 18 and a half inch print that I saw? I mean,
Exactly.
there's nobody out there
Hmm.
doing prints
Yeah,
like that.
no, what's
So
the point? I
no,
know
yeah.
so many people like you, like we talk to so many people that have had these experiences that we trust, that we know they're telling the truth.
Hmm.
There's so much, there's too many people that see these things for it to be a lie, you
Yep,
know?
exactly.
So, yeah, man,
Exactly.
I want to see
Exactly.
one. I want to see one.
I do too, and I'm really hoping that when I go down to Carbondale, that something happens. I hear something. I would love to hear a wood knock.
Yes.
Um, so we went uh, when I was in the woods a couple weekends. I guess it was last weekend. Right off the bat, we were walking down this trail, and I see two red eyes staring at us from down low, and I'm like, "Dude, red eyes, red eyes, red eyes, red eyes, right in front of us." And we looked at it was a cat.
No.
Somebody shined a light on it, like, damn it. And we saw it a couple more times, and it was like, no. And I'm walking through, I see the red eyes. No, it's a cat. Not even shining light. No, it's a cat. No, it's a cat.
What sort of cat? Like a little pet cat or?
Yeah, a little wild cat out there running around. So it
Ah,
was nothing. And
yeah.
I was so upset. But it was fun. We didn't see anything, but I mean, I got to experience walking through the woods at night.
Hmm.
And then, when we got back to the house, we were sitting outside talking and just had a fantastic time. And, I was able to see so many stars out there and then see what we could be UFOs flying around out there
Hmm.
and stuff. And it was just incredible. I don't get to see that stuff here. So that was fun.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. And when we're out looking for
Yeah.
Bigfoot, whether we have these experiences or not, it's great being in the forest, man. And it's great,
Hmm.
being in nature and looking at the stars. So it's cool
Yeah.
stuff, brother.
Yeah, as long as you're faster than the slowest person. But I have a
Yeah.
feeling I'm gonna be the slowest person because I can't run much anymore. So I I,
See you
I
later.
yeah. Hey guys, come here. But whatever.
Brother, I've loved talking to you tonight, man. Have you got any other weird experiences to share, or
Oh my God.
has there been any more?
Oh yeah. Um So how much longer do you want to go?
I've got all night, brother, as long as you're
Okay.
happy.
Okay. I'll give you two more. I'll give you two
Awesome.
more.
Okay.
So the very first investigation I was at was a place called Ashmore Estates over in Illinois, about 2 hours east, somewhere east of St. Louis here. So we're walking through this place. It used to be a poor farm. People lived on that in this building, and they would work on the farm with crops and stuff, and that's how they got to stay at the house. So it's abandoned. It's a mess. We're walking through there. One of the rooms it was a boiler room. We were doing EVP, not EVP, Estes method and stuff. We got some interesting things, but it was my first investigation, and there was another lady there that it was her first investigation. So of course you let the two newbies go in the dark by themselves, and we're walking through there. I'm like, you realize no one else is with us? Is that scary or what? So we go into an old boiler room, and supposedly there's a spirit of a guy down there that doesn't like women. So again, there was like 5 steps going down. We had one of those dead bells. It was going off quite a bit. And I have my video camera. She stayed up in the other room, but she could look into the boiler room. So she kind of stayed away just in case something would happen to her. So I'm like, okay, just you're fine. So I kind of walked down there. And, like you, I'm not a big fan of being in the dark, or I wasn't. And I'm walking through this thing and I'm thinking, this is so uncomfortable. And the boiler room's kind of a big room. And then there's another room kind of going off uh, past it. And I was hearing some noises like rocks were being thrown or something back there. So I'm kind of walking towards it and I kind of look around. There's nothing. I'm asking questions and then we don't get anything. We get a couple. If if you like us being here, if you don't like us being here, ring the bell. The bell will go off a couple times. If you want us to leave, ring the bell. The bell went off. So we left. And this just goes to show you how important it is. And I always preach this. Watch the video, listen to it. Don't speed through it. Always just take your time and go through it. I'm watching it when we got back, and part of the time, I think I was just about walking up the stairs. I was asking a question, if you're here or something I don't remember what the question was, but all of a sudden I hear plain as day. And mind you, there were other people around this building, kind of close to us. You could hear them talking a little bit, but this, I mean, you can tell when something is far away and something is right by the camera microphone. Plain as day. And I'll send you the clip too. Plain as day, this thing said a real light whisper like
Oh,
that.
that didn't come through then. What was that?
We're watching.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. And I got that. I'm like, holy crap. And I send it to Krista and I send it to a bunch of people. I'm like, look at this. Listen to this thing. And they're like, okay, yeah, you got something. So I'm like,
Whoa.
first time. I'm like, holy shit. So that really got me hooked. So another time, we really didn't get anything else that night much.
I mean, that's a freaky
Um,
thing to hear, man. We're watching.
yeah, but I didn't hear it at all that night. We didn't hear it with our ears, nothing.
Hmm.
And in fact, you could see the video. I'm just walking on through, didn't react to it at all, nothing. Just it's not until I went back and I played the video that, I heard that.
Whoa. Could you tell, like,
Yeah.
if it was like a man or a woman? Could you tell, like,
I
make
think it
out
was
a.
a woman. It was an older woman, I think. But then
Whoa.
again, that would have been on the steps. I think it was on the steps going down into the boiler room. So
Man.
yeah. So there was that. And then there's a place that we go to out in Richmond, Missouri, which is out near Kansas City on the other side of the state of Missouri from where I'm at, called the Ray County Museum. Fantastic place. The curator there is just an awesome person. We go there quite often, and there's like 56 different rooms there, including a basement that has jail cells in it, and supposedly, I think that was a poor farm as well, and a hospital maybe. and I believe there was a slave that was chained to the basement somewhere. He's come through a couple times. We've seen weird feelings through there, cold breezes come through there. But I was in, and that museum is all like Civil War, World War II, Desert Storm, World War One, all kinds of different um, themed rooms, and everything that's there is donated to the museum. So, I mean, there could be attachments to the artifacts that are there. There could be spirits that are there for residual from there. So we're in this place, and it's a really it's not negative at all there. So it's a two-story thing, and it's shaped as a Y. Each of the hallways are fine. You walk through them, you don't feel a thing until you get up on one of the top floors. There's mannequins all over the place, and you know if you forget that they're there, you see them during the day on your walk through, but if you forget they're there, they're going to scare the hell out of you at night. But the second you cross over the threshold into that hallway, it completely changes. It just gets heavy, dark, not demonic, but it just gets negative right down that hallway. So we're in one of those rooms. It was a Civil War room, and there was three of us. One was about 6 feet away from me on my right, 6 feet to my left, and there was a spirit in there that there's a little cabinet that had a little door, maybe like a um, 2 feet long door with two doors on there. And I had opened it earlier that day, and he likes opening and closing that door. So, you know, we're sitting in there, the door's open, we have a spirit box going, and I'm like, and I'm in the corner of the room, the door's over here, somebody's kind of sitting on the floor next to the door, another one over here. And I'm asking the spirit, you know, can you close that door and show us that you're there? And we kept getting no. I'm like, well, I really want you to close that door, and then we'll leave. And then we got no, get out. And then I one more time, I'm like, no, I really want you to close that door, and then we'll leave. Right after I said that, the guy over here on my right, there's a display case with that's open on the bottom, and he saw a white mist underneath there, kind of coming in my direction. And then a few seconds later, I felt it over here. And then I felt a cool breeze on my coming in on my side. And then I looked down. I'm like, I feel something up my leg. I look down and there's 5 scratches coming up my leg. We got out
Bro.
of there. We got out of there. So
Whoa.
we get out. I'll send you a picture of that. I got to write down what I need to send you pictures of.
Yeah, you got to send me a lot,
Um,
man.
so
Whoa.
we're watching.
I mean,
Uh, and
could you feel like did it hurt? Could you
I didn't
feel?
feel it. It didn't hurt at all. I just happened to look down. I just felt the cool breeze go past me, and I looked down, and there's 5 scratches coming up my leg. And I'm thinking, okay. And I knew like 3 scratches is negative. It didn't burn, nothing. So I'm thinking that this guy, whoever it was, he was telling me that he's in charge. He's not gonna do it. Get out. He's telling me to get out. He wants me to get out. So he was telling me that he's in charge.
Whoa.
So that was freaking. And I've been in there again in that same room again. Pardon me. And I've asked if the spirit is here that has scratched me,
Mm-hmm.
and I've gotten yes twice. I can't remember what the name was. We did get a name, but I can't remember what the name was.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, and then when he said yes, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry that I got out. I should have. It will not happen again. So I
Man.
never, and I really don't think that it was me. It was, I wasn't trying to be a jerk about it. I just wanted to see it. I wanted them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it was in
Whoa.
charge, and it wanted me to get out of there. So
Yeah. How long did
yeah.
the scratch stay there for? Was it something that lasted for a while?
I think it lasted that the whole night.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't remember it going away. I guess next morning it was gone. But then again, I was sleeping there and I might have laid on it and it might have gone away under the
Hmm.
covers or something like that. So, um,
Bro. I mean, they say
yeah,
paranormal, they say that ghosts can't hurt you, but I think they can. You know, in those
yeah,
cases, especially.
yeah,
You do hear that. A lot of people get scratched. You know, it's quite a common thing with paranormal investigators. You
yeah,
know, it's quite a scary thought, man, that these things can have a physical impact on you, you know?
yeah. And they could scratch you. They can, attach themselves to you. They can enter your mind and and
Hmm.
and do things that that you really have no control over too, I think.
Absolutely.
So I mean, that's I've gotten to the point where if I'm in that situation again and I'm asking things to happen and they don't, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to push it anymore.
Hmm.
I certainly don't want to piss any of these spirits off. I mean, this is their building. We're in their space.
Hmm.
And always go in there with the intent, hey, my name's Paul. I just want to come in. I want to talk. I don't mean you any harm, and everything like that. And then when you leave, when you're finished, thank you for allowing me to come in here. I hope, you guys all just stay here. I don't want you to come home with me. Just, thanks for letting me in your space.
Hmm.
So just try and be as cordial as you can. I mean, it's the same thing with going to if I would ever come over to your house, which I'd love to come to the UK.
Yeah, anytime, man. More than welcome.
But I'm not gonna go in your house and say, "Hey, you do this. Go, close your door. Do this. Do this." That's just not the right thing to do.
Please don't follow me
Maybe,
home.
but
I want to.
yeah, but maybe I did cross the line, but I didn't mean to. So,
Yeah. Oh, it's
but
interesting, man. This
yeah,
paranormal game is dangerous as well. You know, as much as we
yeah.
find it fascinating, I think there is very much a dangerous side to it, man.
Yeah. And I try not to go into too many demonic areas because I'm not seasoned enough to do any kind of demonic cases or anything like that. And I don't know that I even want to.
Hmm.
That's just too much, and too much can go wrong doing that kind of stuff. And I don't want to put myself in danger. I don't want to put my family in danger or anything like that. If anything would attach to me and come back with me, I don't want any part of that. So
Hmm.
I'll
Absolutely,
leave
man.
that to the experts with that. I mean, Krista's she studied demonology under somebody and stuff, and I know a few others that have studied that. And I'm like, you know what, you guys take it. If you want me to go with you sometime to see it, I will, but I will be that way,
Yeah,
away from it. So
I'll be watching from afar.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
interesting stuff, man. Paranormal Paul, I have
You
loved
just
talking to you
muted.
tonight, bro. Did I really? Can you hear
That
me?
was really weird. You just muted.
Really? I didn't press mute because I have to physically. Am I? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now perfectly, but
Whoa! I didn't press it. Okay.
that was weird. Weird things happen.
Weird things definitely do happen, and they
Yeah.
definitely can play with our technology. You know,
Oh yeah,
100%, man, hundred
definitely.
percent.
Yeah,
How often
definitely.
and how often are you talking to someone that's maybe dealing with a negative entity, and when they start talking about it, things start happening as well. This is
Hmm.
a dangerous game. What are we doing, bro? What are we messing with?
I don't know. I can only speak for myself that I'm an idiot doing it, but
But I'm definitely an idiot as well.
but it's fun. I
It
love
is fun. It's interesting.
talking to people like this,
Hmm.
getting out to the locations and experiencing this stuff
Hmm.
and communicating with the other side and hopefully maybe get answers and stuff.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to come through and talk with us, that's great.
Hmm.
But certainly don't push it. So
Yeah. Just be nice.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Mm. Well, brother, I've loved talking to you man.
This
Tonight,
has
man.
been a great
Thank
time.
you
I
so
really enjoyed
much.
it too. Oh, no problem. And we need to get you on my show.
Yeah, I'm coming anytime, brother.
Yeah,
It'd be an
yeah,
honor. I
yeah.
don't know if the two black-eyed kids in the background have moved. I'm not sure if anyone has seen them move. Let us know, because that'll be very interesting. They're so freaky, man. They've literally been watching me this whole time.
Yep. Yep.
Love talking to you, brother. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you and your awesome show?
Yes, you can find me on YouTube at Paranormal Among Us. You can search YouTube for Paranormal Among Us, or you can search Paranormal Paul. I think either one will get you there. But it'll look basically just like that on the I think on the thumbnail for the show. So
Awesome.
I do lives every Tuesday and Wednesday nights, 6:30 on Tuesday Central and 8:30 on Wednesday PM Central. So I try and get as much variety as I can. Bigfoot, ghost, UFOs. I try and get it all in. It's kind of hard because you get on a kick of you want to get a lot of Bigfoot. You're really interested in that, and then "Oh, okay, I got to go back to this. So
Hmm.
but yeah, I got some really cool guests coming on, and actually Brian Bowden's going to come on with Al Santoriga.
Oh,
If
wow.
you know
Two
those
legends.
two,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to ask one question, and I think I'm just going to sit back and let them just take over and just have a good old time.
They're awesome dudes.
Yeah, yeah, they
100%,
are.
man.
Yeah,
Brother, you're a legend, man. Your links will be in the show description so people can go right now and follow you,
appreciate you.
subscribe to your show. Thank you so much, brother. You're welcome back anytime. I think there's a lot of rabbit holes we can go down, so we can
Oh
talk
yeah,
a lot
oh
more,
yeah,
brother.
and I need to learn to drink more because my throat's getting dry.
No, it's cool, brother. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, share it where you can. That is a great way to support the podcast. And we'll be back very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much, brother.
See you guys.